Have you ever watched something that completely rewired your brain chemistry?
A procedural network drama might not be your usual pick, but it's ours.
This is The Buddie System, a 911 deep dive podcast hosted by three friends who have DM'd each other enough character dissertations to earn a PhD in media literacy.
I'm Han, coming to you straight from the characters' heads.
I'm Sil, bringing you to the observation deck.
And I'm Rachel, connecting the dots with my red string.
With our powers combined,
No stone is left unturned.
And no buddy is left behind.
This episode brought to you by the misuse of police gear. Welcome to Dispatch. What's on call this week?
This week, we're discussing Season 1, Episode 9, entitled Trapped. It's written by Adam Glass and Aristotle Kasakis, directed by Gwyneth Horder-Payton, and it originally aired on Wednesday, March 14th, 2018.
our calls of the week start with Trash Day. A man experiencing homelessness sleeps in a dumpster to avoid the rain, but ends up being collected right along with it in the morning as he gets trapped and crushed inside a garbage truck. Then we have familial love in an elevator. A mother and her teenage son argue in an elevator on their way to a therapy appointment when the elevator cables snap, sending them careening into the flooded basement level and trapped inside. Then we have handcuff hanky-panky. Athena and her new paramour get trapped to the bed in her handcuffs while hooking up. And finally, we have hoarder house booby traps. An elderly man sets off his own booby trap in the maze of a hoarder house he shares with his blind brother.
So this is another episode, just like last week, where we have some very obvious themes, and it's what the episode is titled, so it's just kind of like what it says on the tin. But so we're dealing with being trapped or feeling trapped, obviously, and it kind of shows up differently for different characters or differently on the calls. I think the calls are mostly the physical being trapped, and that kind of reflects for our main characters with a more mental or emotional feeling of being trapped. We can also discuss, besides the very obvious says it on the tin theme of being
Feeling
trapped. We can talk, because I think there's a little more nuance in this conversation of themes here, so we can go right into that.
I mean, another theme that I caught on is breaking the cycle or breaking free from that entrapment. I mean, we have a couple of examples, especially with some of our, plot A, plot B, plot C, I think, that are very on the nose. Like it goes, you just see them breaking free from that cycle. And then there was like a couple things that I also found in terms of feeling trapped. There was, I guess, like the dichotomy.
Our favorite word.
Hold on, let me get out the bingo card.
God, where was it? I had it on here. The dichotomy of feeling trapped. I'm gonna keep saying
Dichotomy.
Now I want to do an Australian accent. I wonder why.
It's a mystery.
Huh? What did we watch
Also,
this weekend?
you were talking about breaking the cycle, and my brain was like, I want to break free.
Oh, no,
And then I thought
obviously.
of Eddie and his mustache.
I made that tweet.
I deserve a cookie for not breaking out laughing while you were talking. Thank you.
Yes, you do.
That might be a record for bringing up Eddie in the first 5 minutes.
No, it's not. I don't think it is. I think we just were cutting a lot of Eddie references until like episode 5 or 6, and we were like, fuck it.
Yeah, this better stay in the episode. Anyway, the dichotomy of feeling trapped and then feeling comfortability in that entrapment, because it's something that you know, it's something that you're used to. So it's kind of hard breaking out of that, whether it be willingly or unwillingly. And we get to see that, especially I guess, kind of like unwillingly at the end. You know, circumstances, things happen. So you're not, I guess, trapped for character A, I guess. I don't know if she's character A or B or C. I don't know, but character blank.
You can say Abby.
Abby.
Jesus.
I'm sorry. I mean, Abby.
No, I think that's a great kind of perspective, that idea of being trapped but feeling comfortable because it's what you're used to, and that how being trapped is also kind of diametrically opposed to freedom, which was another theme that I saw, but they're very linked, because like in order to gain freedom you kind of have to have been trapped, and it, I guess it's kind of like in a order of sequential events, right? Like you're trapped and then you break the cycle and then you're free, like if that makes sense. So it's just like the complete like polar opposite, but they can't really exist without the other sort of thing, if that makes sense.
It does. Sorry. Again, my brain is just going to songs because you said something about
diametrically opposed.
Yeah, no, that got me.
Hamilton.
That got me.
I was thinking about Guilty as Sin, where she's like, this cage was once just fine. And then I was like, oh my God, it's Guilty as Sin leads into Fresh Out the Slammer.
I mean, you can't have one without the other. They come hand in hand. It doesn't happen in a vacuum, because if you're trapped, you have no freedom. But if you have no freedom, then you are trapped. I don't know. And so it's just like this flip side. It comes directly like after, and it opens up like a bunch of possibilities. Like the world has opened up. Kind of literally, kind of figuratively, you know, it works on layers. So I kept thinking about that as well. I have a feeling we're going to bring up the whole new world thing in the season finale
over and over again.
Next episode, yeah. But also with freedom comes a feeling of like being uninhibited as well, which again is like you're not like being kept back by something, so you can kind of like be free. I think there's something to be said for a theme of coming of age or entering adulthood in this episode. I think most notably and most prominently with the elevator call with the mom and the son, but also later on, Buck says something, and I'm sure we're going to talk about this at length. So Buck says something about, you know, something being adult and or wanting something less adult. So I think maybe it's also a little bit of a limbo, like a kind of trapped between, oh boy. What if it's like a limbo trapped between adolescence and childhood and adulthood, like that. I feel like a lot of us feel that way. Maybe this is just me projecting. I don't know.
And considering that I just turned 36 and I still feel like I'm 27. That's accurate.
It feels kind of like maybe trapped in this cycle of you don't really feel like an adult, but you're not. You also know you're not a child anymore or an adolescent. And in that as well comes like a cutting of cords or a cutting of ties, which we'll see with the literal cables on the elevator being snapped. And I think that kind of harkens back to the motherhood and birth themes that we saw from Full Moon, Creepy AF. So that's kind of like a little continuation of that. And then I think there was a lot of emphasis on support systems or having a support system and knowing when you can lean on others. And I feel like we've talked about that very early on. I don't remember if it was maybe the second episode when we were talking about like the different ways that people that like Buck was grieving or different ways that people deal with things.
Oh yeah, that was two.
Good. I'm not crazy for that reason. And so like this knowing when to lean on the support that you have with your like community or your group of people, but also knowing when you're capable of standing on your own. So I think this is a building on that theme that we've kind of seen before as well. And then trying and making an effort. I don't really know, but I don't know. I don't have much to say on that one, except like there are multiple instances where the characters are saying that they're trying or they're making an effort to do something, but it doesn't work out on the first go, and it's successful on like the second one. So like the first garbage truck that they cut off when they're trying to get to the homeless man in the truck, and it ends up being not the right truck. So it was like their first try and it was empty. So it was kind of like barren, and it was a fail essentially, but they ended up succeeding in the next try with the garbage truck because they also had like the support system of Athena.
I don't know. I watched this episode so many times and I was just like, I don't know what the fucking theme is other than trapped. And then when I was rewatching it today, I was listening to the whole voiceover at the beginning with Abby, and she was talking about how human beings are resilient. And I was like, oh, that's the theme. Like, I think more than trapped is the resiliency. It's the ability that like all people innately have because life is terrible. Things are not fair. So shit is always going to go wrong, and you have to be able to like keep bouncing back and trying and making an effort. And there's different levels that you can do that and a lot of different ways that you can do that. But we see, you know, a lot of examples of people, like you said, trying and making an effort. The whole like resiliency has like two definitions. And the one is like, you know, just like an object where like kind of like if you kind of like a stress ball, like where if you like squeeze it, it like will come back to its shape. So it literally bounces back. Yeah. And then the other one is, you know, like psychological, which is like you have the ability to like go through tough things and still come out the other side, not unscathed, but not like
just like a little worse for wear, maybe.
Yeah. But like you don't give up. Like it's not going to like demoralize you. Right? You're not going to like just lay in bed and say, oh, poor me, like it didn't work out. So like, I'm not going to try anymore. But
yeah,
sometimes being resilient or trying to make an effort or trying to make something work is not the best thing.
Yeah, and that resiliency kind of goes into leaning on yourself too much and not the people around you enough, I think, as we'll see with maybe a couple characters. But no, thank you, because that was like I felt like I was like so close and I was onto something. I just couldn't connect the dots, and I think that
you got it,
ties it perfectly, because
I had to actually tune into Abby's voice to catch it, so that's why I didn't the first couple times.
Yeah, like in the mom in the elevator when she's upset at her son, it's because she says he never tries. He never makes an effort, but later on in that call, we learn that she's so hard on him about that and wants him to make those efforts and to keep trying is because she sees the potential and knows he can be so much more. So again, that's that, like, she wants those endless possibilities for them that like freedom can bring him in that sense. So sometimes I'm just really impressed with how much we can like delve into some of these more nuanced, a little more subtle themes, because I think I kind of said this before. It's so easy sometimes when we get these episode titles and it's just like face. Trapped.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, what's this episode about? It's about being trapped. Like
trapped, yeah.
or karma's a bitch from the last episode. It's about karma coming to bite you back in your ass. Like, but
yeah.
And I think that's why so much of, I mean, this can go like in general for larger network television, but specifically for 911 in this case is because they are having these really well thought out themes that every call reflects and every character is experiencing. And I think it's just like, yeah, you could say, oh yeah, they're all dealing with something being trapped or feeling trapped, but it's also like, it's more than that.
It's deeper.
It's deeper than that. So as much as I kind of harped on the it is what it says on the tin, it also isn't the fine print.
It is but
also on the tin.
It is an onion. It has layers.
Layers.
Who's cooking?
Shall we dumpster dive right in to character arcs?
Wow.
What a great segue.
Oh,
Henrietta.
Hen. So I think it's really interesting how she doesn't get a ton of screen time in this episode, but she has like the most, arguably like the most growth in a character arc. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like she also has the most emotionally charged scene as well.
Girly Pop is not doing great. Everyone's like, what's going on with her? And she's like throwing shit really angrily, which is not, very hen-like at all.
It's this projection that we see, I think, pops up with her every now and then. Like we've spoken about how she does compartmentalize really well. And like with the last episode, until she does it, like her threshold is really high, but I think this like went past it. So like last episode with Karma's a Bitch, and she was just kind of like almost taunting other people getting their comeuppance a little bit, and it was because she was compartmentalizing so much that she wasn't kind of like seeing how all of this kind of reflected on her until she had to deal with it herself. And this is her dealing with her own consequences, the consequences of her actions.
Yeah. So I thought it was really interesting that we don't see her talk about this with Chimney. Because they're supposed to be besties, right?
I think we've gotten a lot more of Athena
and
besties-ism.
this season. Yeah. Which I love.
No complaints.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's more difficult for her to talk about this with Chimney.
Personal things. Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe because like Athena was kind of experiencing something similar, but from the opposite perspective, like kind of Karen's perspective a little bit. I'm different, obviously, but
I think it also has to do with like Hen strikes me as the kind of person who doesn't want to burden people with her problems, right? Like she'll be there, with bells on at the drop of a hat, but like she doesn't want to burden other people.
Right.
Yeah.
So she didn't bring it up. Athena was the one, like, I think every single time that like she's talked about her personal life, Athena is the one who is like poking her and bringing it up and trying to get her to talk to her.
I think that's right. It's Hen not wanting to dump this on someone else, which I think is also like not wanting to burden other people, which I think is another kind of theme as well. But she doesn't obfuscate or really hold back as much when prompted about it. So that means like she has a little bit of awareness there that she can't hold this on her own, but she's not going to be the one to like that olive branch has to be extended to her instead, like opening, like you said, opening up the conversation.
I also had that question. I don't know how many episodes ago, but like it was like in the back of my mind. I'm like, she doesn't really talk to Chimney as much as you would see in later seasons, and I was wondering if it had to do with the way they were writing season 1 and their storylines. A lot of Chimney's scenes have been with Bobby, and then Hen with Athena, and then I think with the character that's going to be introduced in season 2, I think that's when they started to pair them off.
Yeah, because they start pairing Bobby and Athena.
Oh yeah, that too.
Yeah.
So like the what's the word? Not the it's like friendship group thing is structured and like balances out, gets kind of shuffled around with the end of this season because then Bobby is more paired with Athena. So Hen and Chimney get paired off, and then Buck with Eddie, and so like it kind of just gets it gets shuffled around. So yes, this like restructuring of like the group dynamic, that's what I was thinking of. It wasn't a C word, it was a D word.
Yeah, so like I would assume that like, because I don't know how long Chimney and Hen have been working together, but I assume that like they're close, but like at this point she is closer to Athena, but like as it always is, when you get paired off, like that friend, like, if you're in a good relationship, normally the person you're dating, it becomes your person.
Yeah.
Like your number one person. So naturally, if they were like hanging out with each other all the time, And then all of a sudden Athena is also paired off, and Hen decided to like show back up in her marriage. You know, they're not going to spend as much time together.
I feel like that kind of also gives Hen the opportunity to improve her relationship with Karen and strengthen that. So that's probably also just something that happens in like that interim between season 1 and 2. But in kind of circling back to how Athena is usually the one to prompt Hen with inquiries about the whole Eva situation, it really does show that Hen has like recognizes that she has a support system in Athena, but also the rest of the 118. So at the dumpster dive, you know, she was really digging through all of that trash and like that projection of being angry. But when she's at lunch with Athena, she says that she felt like covering herself in the garbage they dug through and just letting the trash compactor squish her into nothing, which I thought was so sad.
It's so fucking dramatic.
It's really dramatic. Like, Hen is not usually that dramatic.
I mean, warranted, but like also, right? Girl, you did this to yourself.
You kind of
she
did
knows,
it to
and
yourself.
That's why she feels like
so
garbage.
Bad. Yeah, because I feel like Hen has a really good like sense of self-worth, generally speaking. Yeah. Except in this particular matter. And I also thought it was interesting that they were at lunch as opposed to like a dinner or anything like that. And it just made me think back to the full moon episode where at the very end, I think the last time we got a voiceover monologue at the end when Hen was saying, you know, everything that happened in the moonlight has to reckon with the light of day. And it's lunch. It's the middle of the day. Here's the light of the day. You have to be reckoning with it now.
I think one of the reasons I think she has such a good arc in this episode, even though she has such little screen time, is that she starts it off really just out of sorts and angry. And then at lunch with Athena, she's very kind of like resigned. When she's talking about, she's like, Athena asks her how it went, and she's like, oh, you know, like, I didn't get to tell her because, you know, Eva did that for me. And, you know, there's all this bullshit going on. And then they're talking about lawyers, and she's like, which one? Like a divorce or custody?
Right.
And she's very like being flippant about it, which is not, I don't know, doesn't really seem like her kind of like how she normally deals with things. So she seems like very resigned at that lunch.
Yeah. Like, it doesn't seem like this is a position that she's ever, or like a situation that she's ever really had to deal with on a personal level. And so she's kind of like, I guess, fumbling in the dark a little bit, kind of trapped by her inexperience with this, and also kind of not really knowing what to do because she's on the precipice of kind of losing everything.
Yeah.
Like, speaking to her resiliency, because she does kind of like get a second wind almost, I think comes from Athena's support and Hen's wanting to make things right, especially. Like, it comes from internal, or it emanates internally that she wants to make things right, but she needs the support and the knowledge that, you know, Athena will be there with her through thick and thin. And I think that kind of what gives her the get up and go to confront Eva, which still is not the best legally to do because they're not supposed to see each other. But it seems like it's had the desired effect, right?
Yeah.
Where she confronts her and she talks about, like, you know, she's standing on her own 2 feet because she's trying to break out of that cycle, the cycle of Eva, right? I do just also want to say, I know I mentioned like the support of Athena, but also just like the support that she knows if she can make this right, that she can have with Karen and her family that she's made. I think knowing that they are a support system for her, Karen and Denny, really gives her that extra motivation to make things right?
Possibly. I mean, I think what we see on screen, I have a different read on how Hen operates, because I think Hen, and you did say this earlier, is that she is very internally motivated.
Mm-hmm.
Having the support of the people around her is important, but she's not really leaning on it.
It's not necessary.
And she's not even leaning on Athena. Athena is just giving her advice that kind of maybe like lit a spark underneath her, but I think she was already self-motivated. She was kind of just like going through the stages of like grief, I guess. You know what I mean? Where it was like angry, and then
she was wallowing
denial,
a little bit.
Anger, and then she was like kind of just like apathetic, you know, and then she finally is like, okay, actually fuck this and fuck you. Yeah. But I think it's all kind of very self-motivated. I think where the stuff with like the outward support stuff is more like her being there for people, because that's just
that makes
how
more sense.
I perceive her to work. But yeah, I really love this scene with her at Ava's, even though it's like, I really love it, even though like Rachel said, it is not the best legally. But she knows Eva, and she knows like the motivations, and she understands her and understands that like, you know, she thinks that she wants this because like she's done all of this before. So she understands how she's working, and she understands what she's trying to do. And she's like, I'm not going to like just sit by and go through legal means. I'm going to go and just make it clear that like what you want is never going to happen. Like over my dead fucking body. Like you're never going to have me, and you're never going to have my kid.
And there's like a tidbit of information that Hen reveals, which is Eva was quick to sign like Denny away, I guess, like right after he was born. So like she didn't even, she's making a case that she wants to have Hen custody of Denny, but it's not really what she actually wants. What she wants is Hen. But
it's like a means to an end.
But a means to an end. And then, you know, and then kind of touching back on the theme that I caught on, which was breaking the cycle. Hen puts it very, again, on the nose, that, you know, Han said she knows Eva, she knows the motivation. She's been through this cycle repeatedly until like it tears her down until there's like nothing left, which I guess is kind of like direct quote. She's done with that. And she also says like she's not going to let Denny go through that cycle as well. So tying back to what Han said about like internal motivations, because like she's not sharing this information with Athena. All of this is internal. All of everything that came out in her speech to Eva was internal, and it wasn't something that was outspoken to another character. So,
ooh, good point. Yeah, it's like Hen's inner world is so rich and vibrant. I think it's because she is like so internal with so many things. So yeah, I wasn't making like the proper connecting dots sort of thing, but
you were not incorrect. I was just saying how I was perceiving that specific
it makes
action.
Sense. Yeah.
I just relate to it because that's kind of how I work. Is like I will like get advice and lean on people if I really feel like I can't do it by myself. But that's like after a lot of therapy, and I still am like very almost last resort. Ask people for help. But I am very like, obviously, like I care about the people around me, but normally when I'm like thinking about the people around me, I'm thinking about what I can do for them, how I can be there for them. So, and I'm very, when I decide to do something or not do something, when I decide to take an action, like it's very much, I did all of that in my head before I decided to do it. Like I didn't like really sit down for coffee with my best friend and like talk it out. It's like a rarity that happens, especially if it's like a big life thing. Like I think the most I would talk out loud about something like that would be with my therapist, and I don't think Hen's in therapy, so
maybe she should be.
But yeah, I mean, it's very different. Like if you look at like Buck, who very much he's like, I have to talk about my shit out loud. Like I can't be left alone with a single thought. I don't know how to make decisions. You know, and I just feel like they're on opposite ends of that spectrum.
Maybe that's just our personal experience.
Maybe.
Oops,
maybe it's an extrovert thing. I don't fucking know.
possibly. But that whole thing, it makes the whole decision that what you just said about Hen makes the whole, about her really thinking through everything on her own first before acting. And once she acts, it's like, that's what it's going to be. That in that context, that's what makes the whole decision to go see Ava in the full moon episode so kind of like, whoa, because like she obviously was thinking about it the whole time or like that whole episode, but usually she ends up making better decisions for herself.
Yeah.
So that kind of, another favorite word, juxtaposition of that like premeditation, but usually it works out for the better. And it's probably like nine times out of 10, it's good decision, good life choice. And then Ava was just that one.
Yeah. And I think it was very much a like two things. First of all, it was very much, I got myself and my family into this mess. I'm going to get us out of it. So trying to do the direct approach
have to
with that knowledge.
Ourselves out. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then the second thing is, which is why I think it's that she has such a big kind of arc in such a short amount of screen time, is that we see her break this cycle that she has been doing over and over again with Eva, and that we literally just saw her repeat. Even though she's very much in love with her wife and happy, but she has this like pull, and she has this very like toxic. I'm just gonna say, I think Eva is like a narcissist. Yeah. It's very classic, like
I would say so.
That kind of manipulative behavior. And they just kind of, every time you try and get away, they pull you back in. And the way that when she was like angry, crying, yelling at her and talking about how like, I know exactly how this goes. It's me alone trying to build a life for us, and you taking it apart brick by brick by brick.
Yeah.
So she was like putting an end to this cycle and bouncing back and being really resilient in the face of like this huge mistake that she made, because it wasn't only, when she went back before, I'm assuming she was still single, whereas now she is married and they have a kid together. So she's really bouncing back and trying to make things right in a really difficult situation that is of her own making, but
make your bed, you gotta lie in it.
Yeah, I kind of want to give her some leeway, just because when you're in a relationship with a narcissist, like that is it's emotionally abusive.
Yeah,
it's emotionally
hard
abusive.
to break out of that.
And they literally like get a hold of you like mentally. So like I know people who have left and gone back and left again and gone. You know what I mean? It's so I can have more empathy for this cheating storyline, like putting it into perspective that way.
Yeah, I think that is the way to look at it, especially because everything we kind of know about Ava, everything that she admires and loves about Hen is kind of what Hen can do or provide for her.
Yes.
As opposed like me, you loved me once, not kind of like this super reciprocal. I mean, I guess it's reciprocal in her way, but not in a healthy way that we see obviously with Hen and Karen, where it is this like mutual love that was built, together, and Ava just kind of like rips it all and like towards her end.
Yeah, and that whole conversation where she's trying to convince Hen that like they should be together and they'll have a much better family with she keeps calling him
Diesel.
Yeah, Diesel, which is not his name.
I mean, I
it's not what he goes by.
No, I think that's what they put on the birth certificate, but Hen and Karen call him.
That's not what he goes by, and like she knows that, or she doesn't
care to remember.
Yeah, it's a on purpose thing that they have her not call him by the name that he goes by literally always. At the very end when like Hen is trying to walk away, she's like, I love you. And she's like, you're incapable of caring about anyone but yourself, which is just like classic narcissist. Because everything that she said everything that she's ever said to Hen, like you just said, Rachel, is very much, it's about what Hen can do for her.
Yeah.
It's not about like, you know, what kind of relationship or life they could build together. It's very much like her just feeling entitled to
it's like what she
Hen's,
wants,
like
and
autonomy. Yeah.
exactly. And I think to an extent we can also say like being trapped physically,
Yeah.
emotionally, whatever, is kind of like a loss of autonomy in some way. Because like if you're physically trapped or stuck, you can't move your body, like,
yeah.
but also like that mentally, especially, you may be like tied to, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, well, okay, for a lack of a like more realistic comparison, but just to like break it down in like the easiest way I can think of right now, where it's like if you think about Bucky Barnes.
Yeah.
Wow, the MCU made it into the podcast.
Think about Bucky Barnes and how like he came back to himself out of being brainwashed, being mentally abused, right?
In that kind of like cyclical.
Yes. So he finally escaped it, but they still had a way to trigger him to take back control over him. And that's very much just like a very crude analogy for like kind of how emotional abuse works, where it's like these people, whether they're narcissists or just a terrible fucking person, when you emotionally abuse someone, you're manipulating them and you're putting, lack for better word, like, what are they? His words. It's the triggers. I can't remember there's a specific word for it. But it's like they're fucking with your head in a certain way that like is altering your brain in that way so that they can like get back in there even if you try and claw your way out.
It's like it's a conditioned response.
Yes, exactly.
Where you can't, where you don't have the autonomy to really be able to overcome that. Yeah.
Yeah. So like thinking back to when Karen and Hen are like on the park bench and Karen says she was your first great love. I'm like, I don't think she was. I think she just had her
hooks in her.
I wanted to make a Deadpool reference, but I guess that's a spoiler.
I mean, it's going to be whatever.
It's not that much of a spoiler.
It's not.
The fingering, the in the head, in the brain, right? Yeah. She had her fingers all up in her brain.
Ugh.
That was freaky, but okay.
It was
freaky,
freaky,
uncomfy. But yeah, I mean, like that's a good physical representation of like, you know, someone like,
yeah,
you know,
can I get that again?
For posterity, like kind of like holding on to someone's brain. And yeah.
So I thought this was a really good journey for her, and you know, she's still angry at the end of the episode, but it's in a different way. She's directing her anger at the correct person, and she is like resolved to make sure that she protects her family, especially her kid, from this fucking narcissist. She's like, what is the word that she uses? Does she say bet on it? Something like that? I don't know. She says this like has said this a couple times in the show, and I love when she says it because it just, I don't know, it just hits well. Yeah, I think it's like bet on it. It was like I won't let you do this to Denny. Like bet on it, basically.
Yeah,
and then leaves. Mic drop.
Yeah.
It was a good mic drop. Yeah, it was more she became empowered, and that's what happens when a cycle is broken.
Yeah.
So, yay, Hen!
Good job, Hen.
Yay!
Good job, Hen.
Now you have so much grappling to do.
Warranted, but the hard part,
I think the most tumultuous part.
Yeah.
She's taken her first steps. Try the hardest ones.
It's that pushing out of the nest sort of thing that we also see in this episode a lot as well.
That poor kid who probably has undiagnosed ADHD.
Wait, are we talking about 13 Reasons Why kid?
Wait, is that the 13 Reasons Why kid?
It's one of them, yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, I was talking about him because isn't he like 18 or something? It's like 18 or 19. And she's
18.
like, oh, you failed out of college in like 1 semester or 1 year. I didn't know you could do that. I'm like, he probably has undiagnosed ADHD. Like, please take him to a doctor.
But they are,
they were
seeing a doctor.
going to a therapist.
Yeah.
But then second of all, she's like, okay, we're going to get you an apartment. I'm like, you're going to make him get an apartment with no money in LA?
How is he going to pay for that?
Yeah. Interesting parenting choices there.
So weird. Like, I really hope that the plan was he gets a job first and then he moves out. Like, I don't.
Yeah, or that she's like paying for it
at
until
least
he
like
can.
the first
I don't
couple
fucking
of
know.
months. I don't know until he gets a job. Yeah,
because it's like, wouldn't you want him to get a job and save up for a little bit so he can?
Especially in one of the most expensive places to live.
Yeah, it seemed a little out of order, but you know, she was a changed woman.
She needs therapy.
She does.
Yeah, she does.
Well, I need to get like a soundboard button that's just like this person needs therapy with like the
which also, just as an aside for a quick second, because we're talking about it, when they're entering the building where the therapist's office is, and she said, one of them says like Dr. Frank, and I was like, Dr. Frank?
Wait,
the Dr. Frank?
Oh, the Frank?
I don't know, but maybe.
We love Frank in this house.
Because we don't get to see him because they don't go to the appointment. They don't get to the appointment. And he's probably just like waiting there like, what's happening? But I don't know. I don't know that we've seen the outside building of Dr. Frank's office anywhere. We only see the inside. So I'm like, maybe.
Same Frank, same Tommy.
Oh my God. I still think
everything is connected.
Actually, I'm not going to say what I was going to say.
Say it.
No, because it's going to be about him, and then I'm just going to go down a rabbit hole of how much I hate him. But anyway.
Okay.
What was I going to say? Oh, speaking of hating people.
That was a perfect segue.
Whoa.
Well, it's not really hating. It's more like resenting. So I didn't mention this in the beginning because I cook my themes mid podcast episode for some reason. And
she's cooking.
She is cooking.
I mean, resentment seems to be a big theme for these characters as well. I mean, you have Abby. Well, okay. It starts off like with the mom and the 13 Reasons Why kid, because she does have that piece of dialogue where she says that, I don't even remember what she said, but I know like she doesn't want to be resenting her kid if they continue that path. So quickly tying that back to Hen and Eva. I mean, if Hen didn't take any of the steps that she took in confronting Eva, she was and could still potentially, even now, resent Eva for driving this wedge, even though, again, her fault, you know.
Yeah.
She did this, she put this upon herself. She's still going to resent Eva for potentially ruining the relationship that she has with, you know, a person that she loves, her wife. And then, like, resentment can even, like, come from Denny if things would have gone wrong. We'll talk about it a lot further down, but these characters could, the other characters being Buck and Abby, like, they could experience resentment in terms of Buck being in that relationship with Abby, which is, you know, we know it's going to go downhill from here. And then Abby resenting her mother a little bit because, you know, she's not really living. So resentment is a little theme with a bow.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's so smart.
Good catch.
Good cooking.
Do we want to go to the funny ha-has?
Yeah.
Athena's very quick.
Anyway, hilarious.
So Athena is the definition of resiliency in this episode. She's fresh out the slammer, okay?
Of that marriage cage?
Yeah. She's fresh out the slammer of a relationship where she did not get to be fulfilled sexually. So now she's out here looking to do nothing but that.
I really liked, like, before we kind of get into the bound chick wow wow of it all, I did like the Athena's portion when she and Hen were at lunch and they were both talking about, you know, they were kind of commiserating and gossiping a little bit together. But I think Athena's arc was a lot of growth from where we saw her previously as well. And I was kind of, it's like when she said that she was sad about the divorce, but she knows that it's the right thing. It's like she's kind of freed herself from a lot of, I think, her internal, not beliefs, but like,
I mean, she's coming to terms with what she did. It really is her beliefs. I mean, she thought,
okay.
God, I know I talked about it before. I know she was trying to uphold her vows and trying to keep at least some
like sanctity of marriage.
Yeah. But she's kind of like, okay, I kind of have the permission. She wasn't really I don't think she was looking for the permission, but it was glad that she got it, you know, from the kids, like basically saying, hey, just stop keeping up this facade or charade that you guys are still a normal family. Just do what you guys need to do, because it's not really for us, it's for you guys. Well, you know, the parent, Athena and Michael.
Yeah. Which then in turn gives her, like, allows her to give herself permission, which is what she needed.
Yeah.
But that kind of made me think, like, she also went through the stages of grief throughout the season as well, and has finally landed on acceptance. And we know so it kind of makes me want to even go back again through season 1 for Athena and just kind of like see if we can map out that trajectory of the 5 stages of grief. And because I know there was like a lot of anger there was a lot of denial, and maybe some bargaining with like the therapy and everything. And of course, it's not like a straight trajectory. There's ups and downs and back and forth and everything like that, but it seems like she feels so much like the Athena that we've come to know and love at this point, because she's given herself the permission. She's letting herself like be free, breaking from something that doesn't serve her anymore, and how like excited about the future she is, which also leads to like those many opportunities and that freedom, like the world is her oyster sort of thing. And she's just kind of like playing it day by day, which is when she said like she wasn't planning on hooking up with the guy that she met from the bar. I think his name, is it Aaron?
It's Aaron. I mean, she didn't say that she doesn't plan on. Or wait, what instance?
Or she said that she didn't plan on it.
Oh, she didn't plan on it.
She's like, I went to a bar. I didn't plan on like hooking up with someone.
Oh, okay.
And just very briefly, I think this was so interesting because we've talked about it all season with Abby and Buck about how Athena just wanted to feel like a woman, and you know, she wasn't looking for anything like serious and just kind of wanted to like explore that side of herself, which is kind of exactly what we've been saying with Abby and Buck for many, many episodes.
Yeah, except there's a very marked difference, which is that when
she's upfront about it.
Is that what we said his name was?
Aaron. I just keep remembering his middle name.
What's his middle name?
Wasn't it?
How do you remember
it was like
that?
Aaron Chester Brooks. Because who names their kid Chester?
Oh, yeah.
Wait, I think in the last episode,
she was like, your parents hated you. Yeah.
Chester.
Okay, Chester.
Yeah, but like when he
sorry to the Chesters out there.
And then he's like, I think it'd be really cool if we could like have a weekend getaway. And she's just straight up like, listen, I am technically still married. That's over. But like, she's been trapped, you know, for however many years in that marriage. And now that she's finally free, she's like, I want unattached sex.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need dinners. I don't need, like, getaways. I just, like, I just want to bone, man. And he was like, okay.
Respect.
Respect.
And that's because I think she gets the emotional fulfillment and support from her kids, and even Michael still a little bit. Like, she knows she can lean on him with all of the stuff that they've been through, especially with May this season. Like, they're still able, and they recognize that they're still able to, like, lean on each other in times where it's needed, just not in the same way that they were able to before. And then so I think where Hen, like we said, is more like internal and can kind of like stand on her own, Athena does need like the support of her family, but that is like her fulfillment as well.
I think that...
Just tell me if I'm off base. I don't know.
No. I was trying to think. I had a thought and it went away.
Mm-hmm.
But I was basically just trying to elaborate and say that, yes, she does get emotional fulfillment other places. So she's not looking for romance. She's just looking for like sexual gratification that she hasn't experienced, and to like reconnect with that part of herself.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that she just straight up communicates that instead of, because she doesn't want to lead someone on and hurt them, is, I feel like very purposefully done. Again, in direct comparison with Buck and Abby.
And I think it's because she consciously knows what she wants.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that can be said the same of...
We'll get there.
Just this tiny note. Athena doesn't want to be in a relationship. She wants to fuck. Was my note for this entire...
Said in your Jennifer Walters voice.
Oh my god, yeah.
Captain America fucks. Yeah, no, for sure. And just like this whole handcuff scene is just so funny.
So funny.
I also feel like, I don't know why, this is just a dumb thought that I had while I was watching it, but I was like, I feel like Hen walking in on this was what she needed in this episode.
Oh yeah, 100%.
That's exactly what I wrote down. I was like, Hen needed this laugh. She needed
she needed that. But it was just so fucking funny. And it's just so very Athena to be like, oh, there's a really easy solution, but it's not my solution because I don't know or trust that person.
Yeah.
So we're going to do some misabuse an emergency line. And
It is very Athena. It's just like and
it's just so funny that like she doesn't have anyone's phone number memorized because I am much younger than Athena's character is supposed to be, and I have
at least a couple of
closest
them, right?
people's phone numbers memorized. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, maybe she does, but nobody's number that she wants to let her, like, to see her in that. Because I'm sure she probably has like May's phone number and Michael, but like,
I was just thinking if Hen is her best friend, that like I have my best friend's phone number memorized.
Yeah, I have a feeling that was more of like she doesn't have anyone's number memorized that she wants.
I don't know. I just thought that was funny
to see her in this situation. So just like the hoops that she had to jump through to be able to get someone to get them out of this situation is like she called 911 and
I want to know how long that they were waiting to.
Oh my god, that's so.
And he's just such a good sport about it.
Yeah, good on him. He is just like
When Hen gets there and she's laughing, he's supportive. He's amused. He's amused.
Yeah.
And Athena's like, "Are you done?" And Hen's like, "No." I'm sorry. If literally any of my friends, I had to come and do that, you would never hear the end of it.
No.
Just every get together, I would find
Remember
a way to bring
that time.
You got
to just like hold it over their head.
Remember that time that I had to come and bring you keys to your own handcuffs? And then you didn't even let me unlock you. You just made me leave it within your reach.
That was the funniest thing too. It's like she was so like Hen was so ready to, unlock because that's what she thinks that she's there for. And then Athena was just like, no,
we're good.
No, you just leave it within reach.
Yes.
And that was hysterical. But it also showed, I mean, to me, I also like interpreted that as that, having the support system, but also like being able to do things for yourself sort of thing in a very humorous, weird way. And just, God, the part where she's dragging the belt closer is like, oh, so here, while I'm here, let me just like do. And she's milking it.
Yeah. So
like
Athena
a true bestie would.
Athena deserves this like gorgeous man dicking her down, and Hen really deserved this laugh to hold over her friend's head for the rest of her life.
Kind of like a tidbit for Aisha Hines. I mean, her acting in this episode. I mean, you have that emotionally charged scene with Eva, but then like, and you're just like, drawn in to like how she's delivering her, her monologue or speech.
Yeah.
Her laugh is fucking contagious. Like, there are points where, like, I watched this episode multiple times to, like, get down some of the things, right? But I was looking away at some point. I mean, I'm listening to it. I know what's happening. But, like, even after watching it several times, it doesn't miss making me laugh because of, like, her laugh. Because it's just so contagious. And just, like, thinking about it right now, I'm like, she's so funny.
Aisha has one of the best laughs I've ever heard in my entire life.
Yeah.
And I think we talked about this a little bit with was it from episode 5 where the
car wash?
Oh, yeah.
The car wash where it was originally Buck started laughing, but then Hen started laughing too, and we just like that. Her laugh is so infectious.
Yeah.
Just
my cousin,
one of the best,
was
things.
in my room, not watching the episode, but as soon as he heard her start laughing, like, he started laughing, and then he started paying attention on the scene, like what was happening on the screen, and I was like, yeah, I don't know, I love her. That's it. That's all I have.
Something about her is just like magical. I don't know.
It's very true. But yeah, she did. She got to do a lot of range in this episode, so I'm sure that was fun.
So
for her.
Fun.
Oh, you need the key. You need the key. Like, God, so good, so good.
I gotta give props to Angela Bassett as well, because like I feel like we see her in dramatic roles so often because she's such a powerhouse in that way, but like she's got some comedy chops that I think are kind of undervalued at times, you know? Like just like some of her delivery, just like so funny.
Her "no, we're good here" fucking kills me every time.
Yeah. Even in the interaction with Aaron, like before they're handcuffed to the bed, is just kind of like infused with a little bit of sarcasm and a little bit of like, you know, gung ho, but also kind of like okay, and it's not ambivalence, but it's just kind of like or not suspicion.
I just read it as her being like excited, but also like
tentative, having
trepidation because it was like something that she was not
experienced
with, and she likes to, you know what she likes to know everything and like to know what she's doing. But he was like, no, I absolutely want women who are powerful to top me, and she was like, oh,
like okay. Can be into this. Like when given that kind of proposition, you know,
she just had to calculate in her brain. Yeah.
But there's another, like, that's another like layer of empowerment for another one of our characters as well, because she's taking this upon herself to seek what she wants and take charge, literally and figuratively.
Oh, but she was like, I've never done that in the bedroom.
Yeah, I was like, obviously you are. I was like, you got charge. This, girl. It's fine. But like, yeah, they are kind of like flying a little blind too, because there's no like discussion of it beforehand. They just kind of like jump right into it. Which is
safe, sane, and consensual, kids.
Yeah. Not the best practices, but
also make sure you have the key to the handcuffs.
Make sure you have your fucking key if you're going to use handcuffs, man.
Like, rookie error.
That was, I mean, she did say she'd never done it in the bedroom before.
Yeah, but he also surprised her by locking her on there too, which also was not like the smartest move, but obviously his brain was not upstairs. So
where did he think she kept the key?
In her pocket?
Just like in her breasts? Like, where would she have had it? Because her belt was on the floor.
Yeah, and she took it off. And I guess that also goes really well with like how they block a scene and everything too, because it's like it's visual foreshadowing. Like it's such a minor thing, but like if that wasn't thought of, it would have been like so easy to solve this issue. But you know, that kind of like choreography to help foreshadow the upcoming like plot and stuff was well done.
Bravo. Very funny.
Because it was just kind of like it was kind of like such a fluid scene, you know, that and I guess that kind of reflects real life sometimes, where it's just like you're kind of like in a moment for something and then you don't really realize what what you've gotten yourself into until it's like, oh, oops, oopsie.
Rookie mistake.
Yep.
Rookie mistake. Yeah, and then they have dinner afterwards, and
yes,
you know, they have their
direct communication about expectations,
which I think both were appreciative of. Like, it was.
Yeah, you could see that he was kind of disappointed, but he also was like, you know, but I still get to be with you, so I'm still winning. Still a W. A win is a win.
A win is a win. But it wasn't an ultimatum sort of thing. It wasn't a this or nothing. Like, there is some gray area where you can kind of compromise on stuff like that. And I think, you know, that's what worked for them at that time. And something that doesn't compromise as well is...
I don't even know where to fucking start with this. Every episode gets worse. It's worse. Every episode. This one is really, really bad. And it's the penultimate, so that makes sense.
For Buck and Abby.
But yeah, so Abby's going through it in this episode with her mother. Her mother's is either getting worse or having another episode. Not really knowing.
Which is, just tough.
Yeah. And so she's trying to juggle that with a date that she has with Buck, which is just like the cutest fucking date ever. But like, if anyone ever goes, prove to me that Evan Buckley is a trust fund kid, I'm going to point to this date.
Yeah. I don't think it's in canon, but it's like widely regarded fan.
Listen,
and
the bouquet that he gives her is several $100s, like
it's gorgeous. I'm like,
it's gorgeous. Yeah,
I don't even know what all of those flowers were, but I was going to try to look some of them up for like the meaning of flowers, and I was just like, nah.
No, it's several $100s minimum, and then the hot air balloon ride at a vineyard. So I'm assuming he like rented out space at the vineyard as well.
Private hot air balloon ride, like
shit's not cheap.
Which also. Talk about like making effort. Those are grand sweeping romantic gestures if we ever saw some. And for someone who has not been in like a true romantic relationship like that, he is pulling out all the stops. He is making the right moves.
Yeah.
He's doing like he's putting in so much effort.
He is putting a lot of effort and thought into it because he really cares about her, and he is trying to bounce back from this disastrous first date.
Yeah.
So he's like, I know how to erase the memory of you giving me a tracheotomy. I will take you into a hot air balloon, and that will, somehow.
But like also one of the first things they say is like, he asks if she's ever been on one, and she's like, no, but I've taken calls of them crashing. It's like,
oh,
we do not need to keep talking about emergencies when you are with Buck, because it's just trauma. Talk about like, never ending cycles. Abby cannot get out of the cycle.
And she doesn't say it in like a joking way. Like, she says it in a way that Tonka Trunk would say.
I'm sorry,
but you know what I mean.
Yeah, like she says
like,
she's kidding,
but I take a lot of calls. But it's like you say that you're kidding, but your voice and your face do not say that you're kidding.
Yeah,
I don't know.
And for like what we've talked about with them so much is that their relationship can't get out of the emergency of it all.
No,
and for that to be like their entrance into what was going to be this date is just kind of like,
no. All I'm saying right now is maybe they dodged a bullet, particularly Buck, because like, imagine if that hot air balloon did crash. I mean, it also could be like a symbolism of that. Could be symbolism of their relationship crashing and burning.
It is absolutely symbolism where it can't get off the ground.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And they're trapped in this cycle.
Yeah.
They're literally trapped in this cycle where they're like just kind of like circling each other, and they're never God the fucking trains. Parallel, but never on the same track. Yeah. So
hold on. If we want to talk about the air balloon, the hot air balloon as like something symbolic, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Let me connect some strings here. So so
Time
like
to sit back.
This is probably going to be so stupid, right. But for symbolism, you're with a hot air balloon, you're up in the air where everything is like unencumbered. You're literally floating above the ground, uninhibited and kind of like at the whim of the wind a little bit. So like everything is just like open and there's this sense of freedom. I think that flying is
with
often
the flow.
Yeah,
literally.
Like,
mm-hmm.
Going with the flow. Flying is so often connected to feelings of freedom and stuff. But like you're also in this little basket where you can't get out.
You're trapped.
And so you're kind of trapped in that way because then you are at the whim of the wind wherever it takes you. So it's like on one aspect you feel really free, and this gives you like a beautiful like bird's eye view of things that you wouldn't normally get to see otherwise. So it grants you like perspective. I think that was a theme from last week as well. But you literally can't go anywhere. So it's like this kind of compromise that you have to find between being trapped and feeling freedom. There we go.
That's a relationship.
Hey! So.
Anyway, Buck is really fucking excited about this date, and he is so fucking cute, and I just want to boop his nose. And it just makes me so fucking sad. And I understand that it's not her fault that she had to go.
Of course. Like the blame is not on her, but it's just
no, it's not on her, but it's still really sad for him because he put a lot of effort into this.
Taking the wind out of his sails.
Well, yeah, and it's kind of like this post that we saw, I think sometime last week, where it's like, you know, Abby's the depressed character that doesn't have, that gets that sunshine character, and that sunshine character is getting the life, basically, or the happiness sucked out of him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, depressed character positive again because the sunshine character helped them. The sunshine character losing their spark in the process, which is exactly what fucking happens here.
Mm-hmm.
Not to bring it back to Parasite week, but
whoa.
Wow.
That was a full moon.
Yeah.
I also, in talking about the hot air balloon date, I also thought it was really an interesting choice to have Buck meet her further down the road where she parked her car than from where he parked his car, like right by the balloon. I don't know. To me, it was something about like him making the effort, like meeting her more than halfway sort of thing, because she just kind of like parked in the middle of the road. I don't really know.
I think that he walked down there and stopped her so that when they walked up the hill, he could do the hot air balloon reveal.
Yeah. But
yeah, I get metaphorically
like
what you're saying.
Okay. Yeah,
but
like
that was part of his surprise.
It was cute, but it like just goes to emphasize like the effort that he was putting in and, you know, meeting her more than halfway, whereas she just kind of like didn't even get to the top of the little hill.
So, yeah, she has to leave, right, to take care of her mother because her mother is having a really bad episode and Carla calls her.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then Buck just goes to work, even though he's not working, obviously. He was supposed to be on a date, and Bobby's like,
yeah,
aren't you supposed to be on a date? And then he it kind of explains to Bobby what happened, and Bobby gives him some advice.
Questionable.
Hey! Where's the fire?
Like, I don't know how to feel about this advice. Because, like, it's not bad advice.
It's continuing the weird thing. It's continuing the weirdness for me with how he talks about Abby, because he doesn't fucking know this woman or anything about her.
Yeah.
Other than what Buck has probably told him. But he keeps saying, like, a woman like that. And I'm just like, I don't understand what the fuck that's supposed to mean.
It's almost like helping to emphasize putting Abby on a pedestal for Buck.
Yes.
That like he feels like he needs to reach, and I don't really know why Bobby is like enforcing that kind of, you know, thought process, and maybe that's just like part of his experience or his like views on relationships up to this point, because like
I mean, it is a different generation. Like, I guess a different generational way to treat their relationships, because again, like they're like,
here's the thing. His advice at face value, if it was generic advice just about relationships,
not bad.
Fine. Yeah. But for it to be advice to someone that he knows for that specific relationship, terrible. Bobby is very like his batting average. Like he is either hitting it out of the park or it is literally just striking out. Like there is no in between. There's no in between for him. And I hate it
such a weird thing for his
because
character.
Everyone always takes his fucking advice at face value.
I always feel like he doesn't have all of the information, like the more inside information, and that's why he's like giving like the more generic advice, which
like it's kind of skewed off from what they need.
I wouldn't give that serious kind of advice to someone without knowing the information, especially if it was someone that I viewed as family or a friend. Mm-hmm. Like, I would want to know more information. That's just me. Like, I want to know more about this person to like, in any situation, I want to know if it's balanced.
Yeah.
If it's worth you putting in the effort. Because it is. I actually just had this conversation just about, like, friendships.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, listen, like, I know you're making new friends, and I think that's great, but he's been doing a lot of things to help them. And I'm like, I just want to make sure that, like, you're looking out for yourself and making sure that it isn't just you giving.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that is an excellent point. I actually, like, wrote that down as well, that, you know, Buck was making all of these efforts. Buck is pulling out all of the stop. He's making so much effort. He's meeting her again, like, the more than halfway.
Mm-hmm.
But as we've talked about so much with their relationship, what does she offer Buck?
Other than this connection that he is seeking, but it's not really that connection. It's just a connection that is more than what he's experienced, which is not saying anything because all he's experienced is one night stands.
Yeah.
To our knowledge.
I think it goes back to, like, far at the beginning, I think, episode 2, when she rung him up after the roller coaster call, and he was like, she sees me because
he trauma imprinted on her. God, it's so triggering.
I hate that quote too.
But yeah, he trauma imprinted on her.
Yes, I think he really did. I think he did trauma imprint on her because she was the only one that recognized that he was actually really having a tough time, and therefore, because nobody else.
That's a huge thing for my people to feel like someone sees you. So I get it. If he hasn't really felt like that, probably since his sister has been in his life. So that's been a while.
And I think, I think he's confusing these feelings for romantic feelings.
Yes.
Which
he doesn't know what romantic feelings are because he's never had a relationship, right?
So he's just like, see that again.
He's just like, oh, it's a connection and I'm sexually attracted to them. So
and they see me. Yeah.
And they see
1
me.
+ 1 = 2.
Right.
I love
that. But it doesn't. It equals 4 in this case.
So Buck basically is just like, and he seems really sad while he's communicating this. He's like, you know, like, she's great. And we have a great connection, but, you know, she's going through this thing with her mom, and it just all seems very complicated. And I'm wondering, he's basically saying, like, I don't want to go fuck everyone. Like, I want to have a relationship, but I don't know if this is the right relationship for me as a 26-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
Which is such a mature thing to realize, which is like, I feel like that whole conversation, he's really, like, down on himself because he feels that he is not enough to keep up with her and give her what she wants and what she needs. And he just isn't enough to be able to do that. And he's not mature enough and he's not old enough and he doesn't have enough experience like that. But like all of those things just kind of come with time. But like, I feel like he's almost hitting the bullseye with the mark. Like maybe this isn't the right relationship for him. Mm-hmm. So then he tries harder.
Well, because Bobby tells him to. And here's the thing is like, I think Bobby doesn't fundamentally get Buck yet.
Yeah.
Because I still think he's looking at him as some immature kid who was just sleeping or he doesn't understand his motivations. Yeah. I don't think he understands yet just how giving Buck is as a person.
Yeah.
And I don't think he understands how much Buck is already giving of himself at this point.
Yeah.
Yes, I think that's exactly it. He still sees him.
I mean, which is why I guess that's what I was trying to get at with the whole like generational thing, because I think Bobby, like, kind of like what you said, like still sees him as that immature kid that, you know, took the fire engine to have little one night stands and all that other stuff.
He's still a probie.
And thinking that he's not treating this woman that's, you know, older and has more experience, like in a way that I guess how Bobby sees like a woman that is close to his own age should experience a relationship. So he probably thinks that, just Buck is not handling it properly. So he's basically telling him you need to be in it with her, but he's not seeing how much he's trying to be.
He already is.
Yeah. He already is. Yeah. I mean, he went to her when, you know, her mom was missing. Like he went and spent that whole day with her to look for her mom. So Bobby didn't. Well, I don't know if Bobby was told, but he didn't see that.
Yeah.
Well, and he's there for her like every time they talk too, because she unloads a lot on him, right? Mm-hmm. She trauma dumps on him,
which is funny because she's like, I don't want to.
She's like, I don't want to trauma dump.
Yeah,
like,
you already have
your whole relationship, but okay.
And it's like, and he mistakes that for emotional intimacy, which it is not.
I know, it's so fucking sad, but yeah. So I just think Bobby, just looking at this without all the information, without knowing Buck really well yet, is just like, it's been one minor inconvenience, and he already is like,
he's gonna hit the road.
That having a relationship is too complicated.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I love Bobby. I think that he normally gives really good advice, but I think that when he doesn't have all the information about a relationship, that he should tread more carefully.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He should tread more of like a therapist route where you try and like encourage them to kind of come to a conclusion themselves instead of just giving advice.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. You try and get them to like, you do leading questions to try and get them to kind of figure out what they actually want to do.
Yeah. And I guess that's like part of why Bobby isn't a therapist in general, but also like as a person of authority, and again, this is like in a professional setting, because in this way, like Bobby still really just acts as like, even though he's like, I'm the dad, you're like my son now, but he's still kind of operating on professional, I'm captain, I'm voice of authority kind of.
Like, I know better, kind of.
A little bit.
Lauren was watching this episode with me and she was like, this is really an appropriate conversation for the workplace with your boss.
So many HR violations. But when your boss is like your dad.
Yeah, I was like, but it's like his dad. And she's like, still not good.
No, it's like.
It's TV.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I just thought it was funny.
But to that point where, you know, he's really not asking for more context, asking leading questions. He also doesn't ask Buck, which I feel like beyond, you know, pulling like the therapist kind of emulating after a therapist kind of conversation, he doesn't ask Buck what she gives to him. I mean, Buck says, you know, she's the perfect woman. She's beautiful. When she makes fun of me, it doesn't make me feel bad. And you know, the sex is good too, but like none of that is about what she gives to Buck in a relationship.
Shit, okay. You guys, I just had a revelation.
I saw your eyes get
I know,
so
I'm
big.
like, I like turned, I'm like, is she okay?
Tell us.
No.
No.
Oh God, here we go.
So do you know how Buck has been on a hamster wheel romantically for the entirety of the show? And he keeps getting in like the same relationship with the same problems, and he keeps just applying himself as much as possible. He's literally just taking this one piece of advice from Bobby and copy pasting it to all of his relationships. So I am upgrading this from bad advice to terrible advice.
Oh, baby, no.
Well, look at me and tell me that isn't what he's done in every single relationship. That's what he does. He gets into it, and there's always a moment where he's like
head first, all the way.
Yeah, where he's like, but he always has kind of like I don't really know if this is right a little bit at some point. But then he just applies himself more. He's like, I gotta be in it with them.
Maybe, like, he's thinking, oh, if I'm kind of feeling like a foot out the door, like this is maybe not the right fit, I must be doing something wrong.
Something wrong.
Let me try more.
Exactly. Which he would have already thought, but now with this advice from Bobby, which he holds Bobby up on a pedestal, not only as like his boss, but as a father figure. So like he takes all that advice to heart.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So
yeah. Oh. That is kind of almost exactly what's happening.
I hate it here.
Don't we always?
It's this perpetual cycle of him being down on himself because he doesn't feel like he's enough, because he needs to work harder to get something to succeed. And this just makes it even worse when you bring in more of his backstory, which I will not
childhood trauma
bring up here. But yes. And it's just like...
But yeah, what pisses me off about this interaction with Bobby is just that he's making so many assumptions, right? Not just about his relationship with Abby, but about Buck, because he gives...
And kind of about Abby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what really pisses me off is his assumptions about Buck, because he's like, oh, you just need to like...
be in it with it.
Grow up and like step into it so that, you know, he's like, all those things that you like, the emotional intimacy and trust and all of that, like it doesn't come without a cost, and you just have to step into it with them.
As if he wasn't doing
and he's
that.
saying that like Buck isn't already doing it. And then a couple episodes after this, we see Buck doing this so fucking easily.
But it's also with someone that's meeting him halfway.
Yes.
Because, like...
It's someone who also steps into it with him. Yes.
Sorry, that was really loud.
It's, you have to step into each other's worlds. It's not just...
It's a compromise.
Yes.
It's a compromise. Currently, Buck is the only one compromising in this situation, and we'll see so many situations romantically going forward that it's more of a one-way street.
Yeah, the other relationships that he's in, they are not meeting him halfway. He's always the one going a lot further than they are. And in an attempt to like fix it or make them feel better, I mean, I will say with the third relationship, like we don't get to see much of it because like the off-screen breakup.
Natalia?
But yeah, it's never
right.
Yeah. But like Taylor, and then I'm sure eventually Tommy.
But he did the same fucking thing with Natalia that he did with Abby, where it was like, I feel like she sees me.
Well, yeah, that
exactly.
But we didn't get to see the other, like the actual.
Oh yeah. To see if she stepped in and...
Yeah, she was fascinated with his near-death experience, but what else was she bringing to the table for him?
I don't know. And she did.
But it's also because we didn't get to see that much of it. So.
She did walk away, and then she came back, but it's like, I don't know. It's not a great start.
Yeah. I did like her character, though.
I don't have an opinion.
I'm not a hater of any of the love interests on this show, like on principle, but
there's
hate
one.
them for... Yes, okay, true. I hate them, but I hate them for Buck specifically.
Yeah.
I don't actually hate any of Eddie's love interests. Like, I feel bad for them. terrorizing the women of LA. Oh my god, the gay terror tour. All the way from El Paso to LA.
Wow.
And Afghanistan. Maybe.
Oh.
Anyway.
Wait. So that makes that whole Han, you've made me a believer. Like, I thought I went into this saying like, yeah, the advice wasn't that bad. Now it's really bad. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for enlightening me to that.
I figured she was going to enlighten us. I was like, I mean, generically, it's okay.
Listen, as the therapist friend, my credentials are that I'm a Cancer and I'm a therapist friend.
And you're good at what you do.
I am great.
And it's like, but I did want to say, like, the whole him feeling like he may not be ready for this kind of relationship, and it's like so close to the mark, but not exactly. It's like he's done so much growth in these 9 episodes. Like, it's and I think that statement that he makes about that is more speaking to his personal sense of self-worth, because like I think we can kind of generally say, like, for the effort that he's putting into everything, for like being conscientious and so caring and everything, he is kind of ready for that kind of relationship, for an adult relationship. This just isn't the right one. So it's so close to the mark.
There's definitely some self-worth issues there. And I also think it is, whether it's fully conscious or subconscious, it's him having some sort of feeling where he's like, this just doesn't feel right.
Fit.
And even though
something not fitting.
So it's not just like, oh, our date had to be canceled. It's like he completely understands that. But he's trying to explain it to Bobby, where he's like, I don't know, maybe it's just too adult, because he doesn't have words to express saying, because he doesn't know, like, he isn't actually consciously aware that, like, he is giving and giving and giving and giving, and he is getting nothing.
Because that's just how he lives life.
Yeah.
That's how his life has been. He just...
You ever just think about Evan Buckley and cry?
I will tonight.
I don't know if we're keeping this in the episode, but, like, I mean, he does have an adult relationship with someone else, because there's kids involved. So
that's the thing too, is like, so we see him say like, oh, I don't think I'm ready for, maybe I'm not ready for an adult relationship, but then we see that he totally is.
Exactly.
Because the issue was not that he wasn't ready for
not the relationship, it was the
relationship.
Person.
Yes, it's not that he wasn't ready for a relationship that came with a lot of responsibility and like compromise and being flexible and like being understanding that like you're not going to be this person's number one priority ever. Right? That wasn't the problem. The problem was that he wasn't a priority, period. And there was no reciprocity of like literally anything.
It wasn't a two-way street.
No.
It doesn't help that she doesn't even acknowledge as much as she should, like how much he's helped her, because I mean, she is pretty focused, and understandably so, like with the situation with her mother. But like Buck needs praise, I guess, in a way. Praise kink. Anyway.
Yeah, praise kink. But no, like she doesn't show, I think, enough gratitude to him to make him feel like he is doing enough, which goes towards the they're not good together, because she doesn't give him what he needs, which is the praise and the gratitude, and to help him understand that he is enough. And he doesn't even have to do all of that stuff to be enough.
It's bad that he has to say that I am here for you when he's been there since like the beginning.
Oh, God. Are we going to talk about this lunch now?
I mean,
yeah,
sure.
Hey, where's the fire? So, like, we almost get it. We almost get Abby having some fucking courtesy for other people. It's like, she's basically trying to communicate that, like, I don't have anything to give. And, like, I don't want to drag anyone into that. But she's not saying it correctly.
Right.
Like, she's not just... She's very bad at, like, expressing things.
It's too little too late. Like, he's already in it with you.
Right, he's already invested.
You can't cut him loose like that.
So she's like, yeah, I just don't want to, and he's like, oh my God, are you breaking up with me? And she's like, yeah, I just don't want to like put you through that. And then
she doesn't even say breaking up. She says letting him off the hook, which again indicates their like the way that they think about their relationship, that Buck thinks about it so much more seriously because it is a full-fledged relationship for him. Like, that is his girlfriend. Yeah. But she doesn't think of it as such.
Right. She still sees him as someone that she can have fun with.
Yeah. Like, it's not serious.
Not really anything as deeper. It's like a surface level, like, hey, I can trauma dump on you. You're going to listen to me. But me being there for you, kind of, I'm not that emotionally available for that. I'm physically available, I guess, but I'm not emotionally available.
Speaking of someone who doesn't think they're ready for an adult relationship, it's not Buck. It's her.
Yes. It absolutely is. So then he like gives this whole really nice romantic speech because it's Buck. And he's it's
very cute
and thoughtful. And he's basically just like, I don't care. Like, I'm in this. Like, I want to be here.
He's
for you.
committed.
Like, I want to hear about this. You know, he's like, I'm not going anywhere. And instead of her being like, you know, that's really sweet, but I really like, it wouldn't be fair because I don't have anything to give.
It's already not fair.
I know. But instead of her committing and like following through with what she already tried to start in this conversation, which is the only time that she's ever had any sort of fucking self-awareness about this relationship, she's just like, oh my God, I love when you give me attention. It makes me feel so good. Basically, like, that's the look that goes over her face. And then she just kisses him and it's like, okay.
It's like she goes into the whole lunch date with the expectation to let him off the hook, as in let him off easy, because I don't think understands that he is as invested as he is with how like upfront he's been about his past.
I don't know how she doesn't understand because he's been very open about it.
But it's like,
does she even know him? Like,
no, I don't think so.
Does she ask him any questions?
Well,
so we didn't get any backstory.
The sad thing is that no one actually really knows him right now.
That's also true.
Yeah.
On this show. Or anywhere. I guess Maddie kind of does, but she's not there yet.
I don't think I have a confirmed source anywhere, but I think one of you two mentioned that he was supposed to be like not a major character, or someone said that.
I said that.
No, I think there's something to that though, where like the audience knows Buck a little more than maybe like the people around him, but that's only like because audience, and that's what a TV show is supposed to do. But like, I think we've mentioned before that we so rarely see him outside of work, and I mean the most we've seen him outside of work is with his dates with Abby or his emergencies with Abby, and I think he is kind of in essence a little bit of a mystery because I don't know, it's a weird dichotomy about how he's like so open and forthright about certain things, but like so many other things he keeps so kind of like packed away.
But we're talking about like in a storytelling way, like we're not getting enough information of this character. We're just like this character serves as a
audience
plot
surrogate
device. Audience surrogate.
I wouldn't think he's a plot.
Well,
device.
he's not a plot device. But okay. In Abby's story, not necessarily like the plot device, like the definition of plot device. I'm just saying, kind of like he's driving her story because she is going to leave. So it drives her to go, bye-bye, peace out, and finally, thank God.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think there's something to be said about this kind of like him presenting this almost shallow like facade of, I don't want to say of like a shallow guy, but like it, and I don't want to say like the facade is shallow because it's not shallow, but
it's not.
Do you understand what I mean? This facade of fake shallowness where he's like really like there's a lot going on under the surface where like it appears that he's, you know, giving a lot of information about himself and letting people know him, but he's not really letting people know
The problem is that he is the sunshine character.
Well, yes.
That's it.
Problem is that he has this like eternal optimist, like just positive sunshine attitude, and he doesn't really, like, when he talks about his problems, they are like, other than this relationship and then his like sex addiction, whatever, they're very like surface level things, like physical things. And it's, I don't know how much of that is like conscious or subconscious of him trying to like just like obfuscate like anything deeper.
I think it's a learned behavior.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. So
with a lot of sunshine characters, it is major learned behavior because of trauma,
especially the traumatized sunshine characters.
It's like beyond the illumination of the sunshine, which is so hard to get through because it's blinding. Like there's just this bundle of like hot lava gas, and it's like it's kind of like very turmoil and chaotic and everything, but like all you're able to perceive is just bright sunshine, light, warmth, and everything like that. So it's like that hidden depth that really is difficult to circumvent.
Yeah.
Because once you circumvent that character is like some of the deepest. And I think we see that emulated with Buck for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
But going back to the lunch date, I also thought just like it was kind of interesting to watch it from like a body language perspective, because as they're speaking, Abby is and she's, trying to let him off the hook. She's trying to kind of like divest herself of this kid to her. But every time the camera goes back to her coverage, it's like her arms are either like tucked into herself like this, or like they're crossed or something. So it's this like almost trapping of herself, but in a sense, like we spoke of earlier, in a sense of comfort, right?
Yeah.
And Buck, she does do that a lot. She does do that a lot.
Yeah, I think that's. I mean, I don't know if that's like a Connie Britton thing or just like something of her character, but it tracks and it works well for it. But like Buck is kind of like, he's like leaning on one arm,
always reaching forward. Yeah,
his hand crosses like the halfway threshold into her space on the table, and it's just this physical manifestation again of him trying to tell her like verbally, but also like through body language that he's in it with her. He's making those efforts, and it's just like he's not being met halfway because she retreats back in on herself.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't have the emotional bandwidth to reciprocate. And I think she realizes at this point that she's kind of like in a little too deep for Buck. And that's not where she is. Like he's deep in the mud and she's still on the surface.
I don't know, man. It's just fucking inexcusable for a middle-aged woman. It's inexcusable. So like people in their 20s, it's more like, okay, like you're still trying to fucking, I get it, man.
It's different. And she's also traumatized with her mom.
She's not special. She's not special.
Oh, of course. Of course not. But like, I mean, there is empathy for her in her situation.
Look at Athena earlier in this episode.
Okay, Athena's on a different level.
Sure.
A superior level.
But she's gone through a lot of shit.
Yeah. But also, I think so much of that is because Abby refuses to lean on anyone else.
The thing she says in her ending monologue about like how feeling trapped is like a comfort. Like she doesn't want to break free of, well, I guess the way she acts, the way she is.
It becomes kind of like an excuse or a crutch where she's like, oh, I've got my mom to take care of. I've got my mom to take care of, because that also like allows her to not invest.
I also wonder if that's like a byproduct of generational trauma, but I mean, I think it's I feel like it's more of like an
I think we talked about this when her brother was over for her mom's birthday. We're not sure who's older, but like it really gives like eldest,
yeah.
Trauma sort of situation, which is that very much like I can only count on myself. I can only lean on myself. But I think she insulates herself so much so that she can't let anyone else in, and she can't, or it's not like that she can't let anyone else in, but like it was pulling teeth for her to even get Carla to help her mom. And Carla ends up kind of helping Abby more, but Abby is still so resistant to it. Like anytime Carla tries to be like, oh, can I get you this? Can I get you that? Like, let me do this for you. So you can live life and whatever. And Abby's just like shuts it down.
Yeah. Well, you can't help people who don't want to be helped.
That is true.
Exactly. And but she's kind of using that to entrap herself. And not to say that it's like a good or a bad thing. Like it's not black and white, because like that is her mom. You know, she loves her mom. She wants to give back to her mom for her mom providing for her. Like all totally understandable. But like it's kind of killing her a little bit because she doesn't allow herself to lean on anyone else.
Right.
Which we see because Buck is so insistent and offering of being that support system for her. And she's just kind of like, she's not even like pushing him away exactly. She's just like writing him off.
Wish she would do it for real.
Yeah, it's just like it's a vicious cycle where she feels like she's trapped because of this situation she's in by being her mom's caregiver, but she's also continuously trapping herself in that because she doesn't allow herself to lean on anyone else for support.
Except for when she trauma dumps on Buck.
Yeah, I would say she's more using him as an outlet rather than like allowing herself to lean on him.
Yeah, that's what
like there's a difference there. So he thinks that he's being leaned on, and he thinks that he is like this pillar
because
of
he's
support
offering
for her.
it.
Yeah. And again, it's because he's mistaking her, not really complaining, trauma dumping for emotional intimacy.
And she did allow herself to lean on him when her mom went missing.
Yeah, but that was also like a little bit out of necessity.
Yeah.
I think that was the most that she's leaned on him. And it was when he was going out of his way and doing something for her. But again, that was never reciprocated. She never did anything like that for him. Not that he would have asked.
I'm just so tired of this woman trauma dumping on him and using him for sex. And apparently making fun of him.
Yeah, that kind of broke my heart a little bit. That
hurt me.
She makes fun of me, but it doesn't hurt my feelings. It's like, I know banter is a good thing.
But it's not the same.
Like, that's not the same.
Yeah, I wonder if it's like the dismissive stuff that we've seen, but like more so.
It probably is. Because like, yeah, there's a way to like poke fun at someone and like make fun of them a little bit. But like have that out of love.
Out of affection, yeah.
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 You know who we see do that.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
He doesn't know you're stupid. He doesn't know you're an idiot. He knows you're an idiot. He's just like the rest
that
of
is
us.
affectionate.
It's the way he follows. He's like, he's gonna love you like we all do.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's the
but
follow-up.
Like Abby's not there to kind of give that other half of the sandwich, like the compliment sandwich, you know?
Yeah.
Also, she doesn't know him long enough to even start.
I just need her to get away, and I know she's gonna go away soon. But it makes me want to commit crimes. The way she treats him, especially because he thinks it's a good thing. And he's fucking killing himself to try and make it work because he wants that connection so badly.
I think that's the most heartbreaking part of the whole thing.
I hope he's learned after take, is it 3 now? Well, currently on 4.
Are we including Allie?
Oh,
yes.
Yeah. Take 5.
We barely even saw enough of that to like...
He decided to date someone who he met on a fucking scene who he knew would not be available. How was that different from him choosing people who are emotionally unavailable?
No, and then she's also emotionally unavailable because she's like, I can't handle your job, basically.
She's like, actually, even though I met you in a fucking 8.1 earthquake, I didn't realize your job was dangerous.
Even though you saved me from a building that was about to collapse. Yeah. Huh. Wow.
Wonk wonk. Yeah, so we have Abby, we have Allie, we have Taylor,
Natalia.
we have Natalia, and now we have
Tarantula.
Tonka Truck. Let's take 5. God damn.
Tiramisu.
No,
don't
that's
do that
too
to
nice. Don't ruin
tiramisu.
tiramisu. Yeah, tire tracks. It's got to be like dumb shit.
It's Tarantula.
Tarantula.
Timu.
I do like Timu.
I do like Timu. I hate that it's on my Twitter feed.
Yeah. Anyway, Buck, you deserve so much better. Allie, get wrecked. Sorry.
Abby?
Allie, too. I don't know. All of these women.
So many
It's
feelings.
not my fault that he dated someone named Abby and then Allie right afterwards. Weird.
Yeah.
Didn't someone say, was it Maddie or someone like after Abby and Allie, and when it was like Taylor or something like, oh, her name doesn't even rhyme. Was that in canon, or am I mixing up with fan fiction again?
Fan fiction? Well, he didn't date Taylor. He just slept with her and then was like, actually, this is terrible for me. And then for some reason, a couple seasons later, he's like, no, this is great. I can make this work.
We're going to have some thoughts on that as well.
Mm-hmm.
After the date, Abby finds her mom passed away in the night.
Which is very sad, but that's honestly
of course.
the way you want someone to go in that situation.
Yeah.
Peacefully in their sleep.
I mean, we know that Abby has felt a lot of conflicting emotions about, having to care for her mom and kind of feeling that she doesn't want to complain, but she also like hates feeling trapped by it. And when she's finally confronted by the notion of, I hate saying like freedom, but she's less encumbered, when Abby is finally like, seeing that her mom has passed, there's obviously a sense of feeling of grief and a sense of grief, but also I think you can say like relief, because I mean, she knows her mom isn't in pain anymore, but also maybe like a little bit selfishly, like relief for herself that she doesn't have to do that anymore. And obviously like guilt for feeling that as well. Like,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but like
cycle.
Yeah, that was this sounds crass, but to be frank, like the only way she was going to break out of that cycle was when her mom was no longer with her. So it's like it's like one of those, I think, weird things where when you finally get kind of not what you want, but like what you've been anticipating, and then you finally get it, and then it's just kind of like, oh, you're here now. You have to accept it, sort of thing. But her voiceover was really interesting too. Like it kind of summed everything up for our themes that we were talking about, like that. I guess in the sense, like she also like loses that sense of comfort, right? Because she was able to have her mom with her and be with her in her last moments, even if they were kind of filled with aggravation and a little bit of strife, because it was kind of getting worse. But now like the world is her oyster, I guess. So it gives her this newfound freedom, albeit at a cost, And also, I just want to say, to bring it a little levity, maybe, a wolf will chew on its own leg just to escape.
Jesus.
And if you've been listening to like the entire rest of the season,
oh my god,
this girl and her dogs.
I'm not going to say anything more about that.
Oh,
I'm just going to point it out. Do with that what you will. I just wanted to say there has been, what is it? Half the season, most of the season, with some sort of a reference in some way, shape, or form, and I'm not going to beat a dead wolf anymore. So you're welcome.
Wow. jaws of life over here.
Okay, so I guess I'll talk a little bit of what little deep dive I was thinking of. And it was mostly actually about the hoarder house booby trap call. And I just kind of wanted to zero in on some character moments that we saw with this call, especially because it is the penultimate episode of the season. So the season finale is kind of like, tying loose ends, but also potentially setting up a second season. And I'll get into that a little bit too. So you kind of do have to tie some loose strings up in the penultimate episode in order to leave some room for like some of the really big character arc endings for the next one. And I think they kind of did that low key, are kind of doing that with Hen, with her confronting Eva, but that was not during this call. But I thought like during the booby trap hoarder house call, I don't know, I thought it was mostly for Buck and Chimney is kind of what I want to hone in on, where Buck, like, he goes up to the ladder and in the window and then just gets like a whomp, like right with that bowling ball thing. What?
He gets home alone.
Oh, he does get home alone. And that's him like trying to, I think, not really like dive into anything without assessing it first, but that's kind of like the initial nature that we saw of his, right? Just kind of like go straight into it. But when they realize that the only way in is through like the front little tunnel thing, and I think Bobby looks to Buck, and Buck is like, yeah, I'm game, but I don't think I'll fit. So to me, that's him it's evidentiary of his character growth in the professional aspect and like the firefighting aspect for him, where, in the first couple episodes, he was the one to be like, no, I'm going to go ahead. No, I'm going to be the hero. I'm going to save the day, be the daredevil, and, just be like, da da da. And
it's personal growth too, because he doesn't quite have the if I die, I die. Like he's like, well, what if I thought about if I could possibly die unnecessarily before I jump into things?
That plays a part into it, of course. But I think there is an essence of a little more humility in this, where he's like, yeah, I could do it and I want to, but I know this isn't going to be the most successful thing. So I'm going to kind of like bow out, and he knows that he can rely on the team to pick up where he left off. So Chimney gets the opportunity to save the day. Especially, I feel like there were a lot of kind of loose kind of like references to early on in the season, because I think it was in the elevator episode where Buck and Hen were saying like they'll go down to the elevator, and Chimney kind of like sighs and says, oh, I'll get the winch, like he did in the third episode with the bouncy house.
The bouncy house.
Exactly. So, him not being able to like be the hero of the day. So this then is at the hoarder house is Buck saying, I want to do it and I could do it, but I'm not the best. I'm not the most capable for this scenario. And that gives Chimney the opportunity to be the hero and to do like that daredevil-y stuff that he wanted to do from the beginning, that he was always talking about with Tatiana. And I just thought that was like a really nice way to kind of show growth in a very like subtle kind of under the radar way. And it also really shows how the 118 has come together as a team from like the very beginning. So like Buck knows that he can rely on Hen and Chimney and Bobby knows that, his people have his back and they'll take his orders, and like there's that mutual trust there. And I think it was just like a really nice build of all of like the kind of individual arcs that meshed really well together and is one of the reasons why they are a successful team. And it's that they've built that support system for each other, and it's all interconnected. And when it's woven like that, it is a stronger fabric or a stronger tapestry or something than like one thread.
Mm-hmm.
So that whole kind of thinking where it felt like it was very much a tying up of a few loose ends, not really loose ends, but just kind of like the culmination of some of these arcs, made me kind of curious to look up when 911 was renewed for a season 2, because a lot of times we see shows aren't renewed until the network upfronts, which is like the big week usually in May, where they announce, you know, what gets cut, what gets canceled, and what gets renewed for another season. But it was interesting to me because, and I don't have notes for this, I just have an article which we can link from Variety, and it was 911 renewed for season 2 at Fox, but it's dated January 16th, 2018.
Oh, wow.
So, and we have to remember the first 911 episode was not airing during the fall. It was a mid-season premiere in January. This was 3 episodes in that they got renewed, which is like kind of unheard of. I mean, it's very, very early on, especially for a freshman show, for it to be renewed so early. So like props to Fox when it was still airing on Fox at that time. And I think it was, if I can read something. So chairman and CEOs of the Fox Television Group, Gary Newman and Dana Walden, this is what they had to say for the press release of the renewal. With a bold concept, award-winning stars, and a flawless execution, Ryan, Brad, and Tim have done it again. They have tapped into the cultural zeitgeist and reimagined the procedural as only they could, bringing it to life with a dream team of actors led by Angela, Peter, and Connie. This is storytelling at its best, and we're so pleased that it's resonated with our audience. We'd like to thank everyone involved with this production for their stellar work, and we look forward to another thrilling season of 911. So the series premiered, I think that was January 3rd, so 3 weeks earlier. The series premiere grew to 10.7 million viewers, which I think is huge.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the week's number 1 drama among all key demographics, averaging a 3.0 rating in adults 18 to 49, and a couple other numbers there. So it looked like it was kind of as far as I can understand all of the number talk, it looks like it was really a smash hit that Fox understood what they had on their hands and said, okay, we're going to greenlight a season 2 fairly immediately. So, and the 3rd episode was Next of Kin, which was the episode that Chimney got rebarred. Yeah, the 2nd episode, Let Go, aired on January 10th, and Next of Kin aired on January 17th. So actually it was like right before the 3rd episode, which is really impressive. The heads over at Fox must have been really pleased with their investment in this freshman series for only 2 episodes in. And I mean, they were right to. It's still going strong, but it was interesting to me because a lot of times when writers are in the writing room, you know, before they've finished filming a series or a season, they still don't know if they're going to be renewed for the next one. So you'll see a lot of times in the penultimate and the season finale, things really getting tied together.
Just in case, yeah.
In the off chance that they don't get picked up for that next season. And I feel like that's a pattern so often seen. So that is really interesting to me because they were basically probably writing at least the last half, if not more, of this season with the knowledge and the cushion that they were going to come back next season and see these characters again and be able to build off of their arc. So it is also interesting to me that like, even with that knowledge, they kind of were closing everything in a satisfactory way. So I don't know, just like interesting stuff from the back side of it, like the production side of it, which is what I would like to get more into, which is also, if I could just bring that into more current times as well, kind of interesting because I feel like that almost mirrors in a way what we saw with season 7, which also premiered in the spring and was renewed for season 8 fairly quickly after it started airing. But like, essentially 911 is a new show on a new network. So kind of like seeing it as like this freshman outing again in a way. And ABC kind of did what Fox did, where very quickly before all of the episodes were even out, and I don't remember where exactly in this season that they announced that they renewed it, but I do know that it was early as well. So just kind of interesting how things are cyclical and how that affects like the writing and storytelling, all that good stuff.
Think about is Oliver responding to, he's like, what do you think about, like, what do you have to say to the people who don't like, the Buy-Buck storyline? And he's like,
don't watch it.
We're already in it for season 8, so I don't know. Watch something else.
Yeah.
Mic drop.
It's the opposite of the what are they going to do? Fire me. It's like, they aren't going to fire me.
They already hired me.
Yeah.
It must be so nice on so many levels of production crew and everything to know that you have a job coming back.
Yeah. Oh, we get to be nervous now for a season 9 renewal, don't we? So fun.
Oh, yeah.
Love doing this again. It's like the number one show on television, so I guess I'm not that nervous, but
listen, we don't need to be nervous about that until later. And this is not the CW, which always
tell that to my trauma.
I know, it's like this is, I think, one of the reasons that like we started cluing into the upfront so much was because we were like, what are they going to do with Supernatural? What are they going to do? Even though they were kind of like the CW darlings, but it's like they still made us sweat it out. And I'm like, that is psychological torture.
Was non-consensual edging.
True.
That's what that was.
True. Yeah.
Speaking of edging. Well, I was going to say, me waiting for Buck to interact with Eddie, because I, once again, have nothing for Slowburn. I'm just like, I don't know. He's a sad bisexual.
He wants to be in a relationship. It's not the right relationship. Maybe it could be with someone else.
Who knows? Maybe we'll meet them soon.
And that could be a man or a woman, because he is bisexual. And and talking about like having the freedom of, freedom of choice, freedom of,
There's one more episode where this segment is going to be under an hour. So I hope people are excited.
Yeah. Well, it's gonna be more interesting. We're gonna have to shorten up some of the other ones.
I'll just throw, I think I already fucking said this at some point, probably early on, but like bisexual men tend to get over-sexualized and tokenized by women.
I'm surprised I haven't come up with that one yet, because that's...
I'm pretty sure I did that at some point earlier.
Oh, forgive me. Well, remember, don't play with handcuffs.
But if you do,
take a buddy and a key with you. Thank you for listening to the Buddie System podcast from start to finish.
We literally cannot shut up about 911, so please come talk to us on your favorite social media platform.
We're at Buddie System Pod everywhere. That's BUDDIE System Pod.
Leave a 5-star review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts to get a personal shout-out in the next episode. The Buddie System is a Nerdvergent media production featuring music from Divinity.
Can't get enough of the buddies? Subscribe to our Patreon for access to exclusive content in our Discord community.
Catch you next time. And don't forget,
Bring a buddy with you.